Well, a record number of female CEOs took charge of the Fortune 500 last year, but women still actually represent just about 2.5% of all Fortune 500 CEOs. And another female drops off the list when eBay CEO Meg Whitman resigns next month. Despite increasing progress made in the boardroom, why is it that women are still fighting to make as much as their male counterparts? For that, we want to ask Naomi Wolf, renowned social activist and author of The End of America, Carrie Lucas from the Independent Women's Forum and author of The Politically Incorrect Guide to Women, Sex, and Feminism, and today's contributor, Stephen Moore. What I want to share with all of you is a study that really stunned me. It's from the American Association of University Women, and it says that 1 year out of school, women with the same educational background going into the exact same jobs as men are earning just 89% as much as their male counterparts. And 10 years out, that gap gets even bigger, with women earning just 69% as much as their male counterparts. And it factors out women who take time off for children or women who move to a flex time schedule. Naomi, it's amazing, number one, that we're talking about this day and age. It seems like a problem that should have been 20, 30 years ago. But I want to ask you, why is this?
Yeah, you're so right. I mean, we've been having this conversation for as long as I've been an adult, and the numbers just don't move. There are three major reasons. Number one, the United States is at the bottom of industrialized nations in terms of having any kind of work-family national policy. So women all over Northern Europe, women in Canada take 6 months off to have a baby, and they get 60 to 90% of their income guaranteed. And then their husbands or partners can take 6 months off. So they're not facing the hit that we're told is a lifestyle choice. The second reason is that underpaying women is a built-in benefit to businesses. Businesses consciously or unconsciously make use of it. Women don't finally have a lobby, and the Chamber of Commerce does. So presidential candidates know that they need to satisfy the business lobby, but there's not a mom's lobby. And the good news is that there is finally something called Moms Rising, run by Joan Blades, who co-founded MoveOn, which is starting to mobilize moms in the millions, and they're making headway in places like Washington State. But the last reason is that women have low self-esteem and they don't negotiate. Well, the same women moving into a job that you mentioned with their male counterparts, the guys will negotiate and the women will just be good girls and be grateful for what they're given, and that adds up. That
is a very interesting point, but I want to get to Carrie and ask her, do you really think it comes down to businesses consciously making the decision, oh, I can hire a woman because she's going to cost me less?
No, I think we need to be really careful. And if you look a little deeper in that study that you mentioned by the American Association of University Women, there's actually there's much more good news in it than you're suggesting. If you look at the wage gap, they said that 10-year wage gap, three-quarters of it was explained by women's choices. It was explained by the fact that even full-time working women work about an hour less a week than full-time working men. Women do gravitate towards different careers. Why do we do this? Well, some women are more interested in personal fulfillment and having more time with their families, while men seem to focus on making money. It's important to have this conversation, and certainly discrimination can play a role, but we need to make women understand that if money is their #1 concern, that they can make as much money as men, but they just have to make different choices.
Can I get in here and defend males for a minute?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we got you there, Stephen. You're our token guy.
I love to be on with all these beautiful women. But and by the way, I don't think men have a very effective lobby in Washington either. But let me say this. I've been looking at the statistics over the last 40 years from the Census Bureau on male versus female earnings. And the real story here, I don't care what the American Association of University Women study shows. I mean, that's one of the most left-wing groups in the country. The story here is that over the last 40 years, wages for women have gone up much faster than for men. The one demographic group for whom wages have gone up fastest over the last 40 years has been black women. Black women wages have gone up dramatically faster than that for black males. So I see that these gaps that Naomi was talking about are declining over time. They're not rising.
Naomi, you're shaking your head.
Yeah, I am. I mean, respectfully, you're just misreading the statistics. That's one subcategory. It's true, but that's because of the diminution of the industrial base, which were the only main source of high-paying jobs for many African-American men, and it's also true that African-American women are moving ahead in educational categories, higher education, but that's a subcategory that doesn't budge the numbers that the AAUW and many other organizations are confirming. Now, to your point, or to Carrie's point rather, about lifestyle choices, you know, this is a frame or a kind of discourse that the Chamber of Commerce, the business lobby, wants us to internalize as American women. It's our choice. If we, oh gosh, I want to take care of my family and have a job. Oh gosh, I can't do everything with no support. There's no flex time. There's no family leave to speak of. So it's a lifestyle choice. But that's like, you know, in Europe, women don't face this nonsense about it's our choice if we want to take care of our families, just like we don't face this nonsense.
But you can't, you know, I think it's
just
unfair.
A second, let me just finish. That it's our choice to have health care.
Yeah, but you know, Naomi, let me just say one thing on this. I've been looking at, you know, you talk about the European model. The rate of unemployment of European women is like twice as high as it is for American women. Women do much better in the American model because they're not unemployed.
Absolutely,
but
it's important. It's important to recognize that there are differences. Women do make choices when it comes to how much time they want to spend with their family, as do men. There's a lot of women who work full time, don't have kids, and dedicate 14 hours a day to their jobs. Of course, they're going to be compensated more than a woman like myself who has 2 little kids at home and isn't working all day long.
You know, we got to wrap it up here. We're running out of time, but I just want to share with you an anecdote. A woman that I spoke to out in California who had been working at the University of California at Berkeley, and she was there on the medical teaching staff, and she was actually making about 1/3 of what her male counterparts were making. She sued the university and she won nearly $3 million. So it is happening to some extent, but I hear all your points of view. I appreciate everyone for joining us so much. Naomi, Carrie, thank you. Stephen, you're going to stick around.
Up next, making money in REITs. A 5-star fund manager says 2 of them are your best trades.